Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you by St. Luke's On-Demand Virtual Care, which allows patients to see a provider from their home using a computer or smartphone with on-demand care for common ailments such as a cough, sore throat, or a sinus issue. More information at stlukesonline.org. Public media funding is on the line. That means trusted interviews and important conversations like the ones you hear on Idaho Matters could be in jeopardy. Act now at boisestatepublicradio.org/funding. Help protect the journalism you count on. More Idaho Matters now from the studios of Boise State Public Radio News. I'm Gemma Gaudette. Most of us are used to checking the box to become an organ donor as we get our driver's license. But what you may not know is you can register to become a brain donor as well. Now, in a world where more than 1 in 3 people are affected by neurological conditions, brain donations are critical to research and hopefully to curing diseases that impact many of our loved ones. That's why Tish Hevel founded the Brain Donor Project, and her cause is what inspired Caldwell resident Lauren Wilson to register to be a donor herself. They're both joining us now to talk more about what brain donation really means. I want to welcome both of you to the program.
Hi, thanks.
Hi, Gemma.
So, Tish, let me begin with you. I did not realize that brain donation is not included in standard organ donation. Now, why is that?
You are not alone. That is like the first question we get asked because it's an organ, right? So you'd think it'd be included. It is not. And that's like the biggest, assumption that we have to help people overcome. I don't know why it is. I know that it likely will never be, just because it's a whole different kind of recovery that needs to take place. And so the important thing is you need to make separate arrangements for it unless and until it becomes part of the National Organ Donation Network.
Lauren, what inspired you to register to donate your brain?
Well, I have a friend my age with a traumatic brain injury and another friend my age with Parkinson's. And then I have 7 women directly above me on my family tree on both my mother and father's side who died with dementia. All the women that I was close to. And there really is nothing more frustrating or gut-wrenching or horrifying than watching somebody suffer through a brain disease. And you can do virtually nothing. And so a couple of years ago, pardon?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Well, a couple of years ago, I was listening to Science Friday on this station. And they talked about the need for brains for research and this woman named Tish Hevel who was doing something about it. So I contacted her.
Yeah, Tish, can you explain why brain tissue is so valuable in medicine? I know for some people who are listening to this, they might be a little squeamish, it might sound a little out there, but there is really necessary reasons why researchers need brain tissue.
There sure is. It is considered the most valuable resource in all of neuroscience. There isn't any substitute for it. And so it is the best way for neuroscientists to find answers about all kinds of brain disorders. I'm told that it's what helps them get to where we are already, and that the next set of breakthroughs in all of the neurodegenerative diseases, neurodevelopmental diseases, neuropsychiatric diseases, that those breakthroughs depend on enough donated human brain tissue to be able to study.
Tish, something that I find interesting is, let's talk about CTE for a minute. This is something that we are getting more information about. And this has a lot to do, we've heard about football players in particular.
Sure.
And there have been a lot of families that post-death of a loved one, they donate that loved one's brain to science because they want to know if the person has had CTE for sure, right? And the only way to actually diagnose it is after death. And second, they want a cure for it. So I know this is just one example, but is that part of it too? Is this push for us as community to want more answers?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's horrible to watch someone you care about deteriorate or die with a disorder that we just don't know enough about. So anything we can do to speed along those breakthroughs will help future families suffer less. CTE, you're right, is an awful one. Yes, we hear about it a lot in football players and other sorts of athletes, but believe it or not, most of the people who have pre-registered to our site at braindonorproject.org who claim to have TBI or many concussions aren't athletes. They're victims of domestic partner violence. So it isn't just that, it's something we need to understand. And that whole concussion syndrome, I'll call it, manifests itself very differently in women than it does in men. So we especially need more women to do brain donation. And it's not just that. There are many things, not many, but there are neurodegenerative diseases like the dementias that you hear so much about. Many of those are a very well-educated guess as to the diagnosis while someone is alive. But the only way to get a definitive diagnosis of exactly what was causing the dementia, for example, is with the postmortem examination. And the family is able to get a copy of that when they donate a loved one's brain. And so many times I tell people, not only is that helpful to explain some behaviors of exactly what was going on, but we're getting closer and closer to understanding the genetic underpinnings of so many diseases that someday, people like me who may have a propensity to certain kinds of neurodegenerative diseases. My dad died of Lewy bodies dementia, but someday, think about this, here's my fantasy, maybe there'll be a vaccine available for those of us who could, be in line to get that genetic, manifestation.
I need to wrap things up, but very quickly, Tish, if you could tell us if folks have any interest, like Lauren did, because she listened to Science Friday and heard about you, how does someone take that first step if they have an interest in a brain donation?
Oh, you're sweet. Go to braindonorproject.org. Learn whatever you need to know about brain donation, and you can actually start the process on our site as we support the brain banks of the National Institutes of Health. So we'll get you on your way.
Well, I want to thank both of you so very much. Lauren, thank you for sharing your story with us as well. We've been speaking with Tish Hevel, the CEO of the Brain Donor Project, and Lauren Wilson, a registered brain donor. You've been listening to Idaho Matters from Boise State Public Radio. I'm Gemma Gaudette.
Planet Money helps you understand the economy. We find the people at the center of the story.
Garbage in New York, that was like a controlled substance.
We show you how money influences everything.
Tell me what you like by telling me how you spend your money.
And we dig until we get answers.
I had a bad feeling you were going to bring that up.
Planet Money finds out. All you have to do is listen. The Planet Money Podcast from NPR.